No, she's on vacation today. She gets Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week off. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next time I will go with her. Yeah.
So I told her, I said, you're going to be at Tahoe anyway. Why don't you just come on over, or we can come to you.
Okay, how are you? Welcome. Do we need to sign up?
Absolutely.
Name right there. That's it. Absolutely. And putting in the graphic handheld mic works best. Close to your mouth, but not.
Okay, thanks. There was other emails sent, nothing about just this one. No, Andrew.
Are you sitting here? Are you sitting here? No, you're sitting there.
Totally right.
Yeah.
Oh, that way. Yes.
Oh, hours.
Oh, this is so nasty to me. Driving.
And then,
Hi, Mantra, we're going to have to work. You have to. You don't have a choice. He wasn't going to let me in. And I just used my hand.
And then he got upset.
He got to my bumper and I was like, it used to be a and he was trying to like, oh my God,
I appreciate this active.
so here it is right there.
Where was that? Right. That section of the road is really dangerous. We have a lot of deaths every year.
Some space, and then instead he came up to my bumper and he was so close. Did he cut you off? Yeah, he was terrible at all this. I was like, wait, and I did try times to like nudge him, like, you're just trying to zipper, just trying to zipper. Yeah, that was bad.
Okay. I'll talk to you more as I get closer. I'm so excited. All right. When are you doing? February? Yeah.
I said always, except obviously when they go, but other than that, I'm here. Sorry, I didn't. I couldn't
And I'm either wearing
Yeah, I get to present my plan. Stating the fence. Do it that morning. Rita should be able to do that. That's it. I'm good anytime after 7. I just need to.
What time do you need to go eat?
Well, your brother's coming to speak with you at noon. So sometime at 9 will be great. 9, 10, or 11 will be great. Sorry.
No. We
10 would be great. 7. Yes. After 6 would be great.
10 a.m.
Yeah. Monday, I'm good. Between 7:30 and noon. And actually, Monday I'm really wide open. Yeah, until 4. By the way, Chris was really over the top, and he said,
We're falling right behind.
I'm sure he does.
Patricia, careful. Yes, I know. Oh, yeah. Okay, how are you?
That'll end the relationship pretty quickly and everything else.
Totally fine. Shall we go around?
So,
All right, folks, let's get started. We'll call this meeting to order. We're going to get the sign-up sheet started for public comment. I want to welcome everybody to our Washoe County meeting in June up here in beautiful Incline Village. Fantastic. All right, if you signed up for public comment, I've got the list here. Just keep it going if anyone's missed. All same with online for our Zoom public commenters. Just raise your virtual hand when we get there. Is this? All right, we're going to call for the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll ask Vice Chair Moser to begin. You can all rise. The flag is right over there. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. We'll go ahead and move forward with roll call. Trustee Rogers. Trustee Rupp. Present. Very good. Trustee Silver. Present. Vice Chair Moser. Present. And Chair Jacks is present and here. Okay, thanks folks. Thank you all again for being here. We're going to get started with public comment. So what we'll do is there a microphone on that one? Okay, thanks. Public comment podium's over here. Microphone is so everyone online and for the record can hear you. So when you give public comment, please state your name for the record so that they can record it properly. I'll call your name up, and then usually I call the next name on deck, if you will, to get up the line to get people started in the interest of time, to get things started. So I really appreciate you all being here. Hope you've enjoyed Incline as much as I have this afternoon. And if I win the lottery, the California lottery from Kings Beach, we're adjourning, and in a quorum, we are flying to Hawaii. Okay? I will pay. Okay? So hope that happens. Yes, thank you. All right, so thanks again, folks, for being here. What I'll do again is call up a few people for public comment when we get started. So Jeff Nell, followed by Kate Salim, thank you, and then Gail Townsend. To the podium over here, folks, it's Jeff and Kate and Gail.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Nell. I'm the Express. I'm with Nevada Mass Resistance, and we fight the political effects of the LGBTQ. We are international, and we have won a lot. I want to express that we want to, as representative from District 4, to represent the residents of the district. A.L. Rogers did not meet the standards at all. I would strongly suggest we look for one person among the numbers to apply for the position, and let's look for someone who is relatively quiet, but is ready to help out and clean the house. Two good things we could discuss on the agenda, hopefully next Tuesday: appeal the process of the library board to do away with the ALA standards. What should matter is that the library director cares about people, will work effectively on a large budget, and push the LGBTQ social experiment perversions in the local libraries. You have it right here. In the Word of God, it talks about when the righteous rule, when the unrighteous rule, people groan. When the righteous rule, people rejoice. But no, the LGBTQ is a political agenda. It was a book written by Cleon Scholes and called The Naked Comrades, and it describes to present homosexuality, degeneracy, and promiscuity as natural and healthy. You should understand that this school board, the library trust stepped in a lot of places, excuse me. I've been to a lot, and I've won. Okay, I've won. And I hope what I've said here helps them. Where's the timer at? Oh, there it is. The LGBTQ is totally a political agenda, and they need to be stopped. It is political because it's designed to depopulate this planet. When it comes to the Georgia Guidestones, it says on there, reduce the Earth population to 500 million. If you're gonna knock on the door, you knock on the door, you can, they come like to say, will you die for the cause? Heck no. So they can decide the LGBTQ to depopulate this planet, it reduces the natural procreation. So I want you to understand that you need to reject the LGBTQ. It's nothing but communism, absolute communism. Okay? And I really want you to really consider what you're doing, what you're involving in this county. And where I'm from is Churchill County. And I stopped the dry clean store from coming there. And I got people that quit because what they're doing is absolutely wrong. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kate Salim, for the record. I want to thank the director and all of the libraries for their commitment to elections in our community. From having polling locations at the libraries, both early voting and election day, and all of the extra work that that entails, to allowing staff to assist with ballot processing at the main elections office. All of these efforts play such a vital role in the process. I was privileged enough to work with quite a few different staff members when I did my own turn or stint in the ballot processing room, and you have some amazing staff. I highly commend them, and I'm grateful to have worked with all of them. I want to thank North Valley's Library and Downtown Reno Library for hosting Drag Story Hour these past few weeks. I volunteered with our center to assist outside, and I was very impressed with the events. The staff went above and beyond to provide a wonderful program for the families attending. Each library had crafts and other fun activities for the kids, and as I saw them leaving, all the families seemed very happy for the most part. The performer was amazing, and what I saw was a performer wearing a costume, leading children in songs, and telling a story from a book. It was fabulous. I will say I did see a few offensive things at the North Valley's Library event. Protest signs spelled incorrectly. People walking around wearing multiple cameras to film families without their approval. A flag clearly in view of the families saying, F your feelings, and the F word was spelled out. And one woman who used a child as a prop in order to access the story room and protest inside. I'm grateful to the trustees who came out to Drag Story Hour to see the events for themselves, and I hope all of you enjoyed yourselves, and I'm eager to hear you report on what you saw and your experiences at these events. Finally, I want to thank Trustee Rogers for his service on this board. There are many of us who voted to the BCC to retain him, and we were sad to see it not happen. This board has been lucky to have someone who understands how the county works, and he has definitely been a much-needed voice of reason. I hope he will consider reapplying. This community needs his help and knowledge. His years of public service are appreciated. As we move towards the general election, I sincerely hope that others on the board will understand and support the Renew Washoe County Library's resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Gail, then Yolanda, and then Candace Powell.
Hi, my name is Gail Townsend. I really wasn't going to speak, but I would like to point out that I am not a Christian. I respect people who follow other faiths than my own, and I would request that same respect from people who come to the library or come to these board meetings. I know that I mentioned the thousands of books on Christianity in the library and the one lone book in the children's area on Taoism. But I know that if I did find a book on my religious tradition that I wanted the library to own, I could talk to Debbie Steers, and she would probably get it for me. So thank you very much.
Hi, Yolanda Canuck, Incline Village, full-time resident here, and I just want to welcome everyone to our library here. First of all, I'd like to say that I want to commend Gianna Jax at what a great job she's been doing as a chair, and I hope that the trustees would reappoint her, vote for her to be the chair for the next term. And I don't know if Trustee Rogers is coming, but because he's termed out, I'm hoping that he will recuse himself from voting. I don't know where he is, if he's coming or what. Thank you.
Hi, Candace Powell. I stand before you today as a parent and avid supporter of our libraries and their diverse programming. First and foremost, I extend my sincere gratitude to the director, the dedicated library staff, and our center volunteers who worked tirelessly during Drag Queen Story Hour to ensure the safety and enjoyment of our children. However, I must once again address the troubling hypocrisy displayed by a very small number of individuals at these events, claiming to protect our children while harassing them and taking their photos. It's absurd and deeply concerning. The only predatory behavior witnessed at and around these events is coming from those who profess to safeguard our children. As an active library user, I brought my most recent library receipt. During Drag Queen Story Hour, I engaged with 2 protesters and asked them if they were regular library users. Both admitted they were not. Neither could provide a straightforward answer when I asked if they have active library cards. While our libraries are open to all and funded by our taxpayers, I hope my frequent use gives my comment of support for our libraries some amount of weight. For my family, the library is not just a resource, but it's our third space. We're looking forward to the Department of Wildlife event this weekend. My 2nd grader is currently participating in the Summer Reading Challenge, and she's already earned 12 badges and has logged over 665 minutes of reading since June 1st. Yeah. When we say we use our library, we really, really mean it. Decisions about the library programming must remain within the library events department. Our library events staff have a direct line to the community members and active library patrons. They understand what the community wants and needs and aren't influenced by the tiny but loud group outside. Not every event is for me and my family, but that's what we love about the diverse programming. There's something for everyone. I am a proud American and I value our right to freedom of speech and the right to protest. I adamantly oppose any action that crosses the line into harassment, especially of children. While it pains me to hear the abusive and inaccurate comments made at these meetings, the library trustee meetings are the appropriate forum for open dialogue. It's not appropriate to spew hate at children's events. I ask the trustees to hear my comments of support as an active library patron and continue supporting our libraries and their commitment to diverse programming. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Okay, Tony.
We need to talk.
The Leos.
Thank you. And then Tom, you guys are all queued up, and then Tara is up next. Go ahead.
My name's Tony Lilios. I have 2 children here in the town, ages 10 and 8. My kids were born here and they've been raised since day 1. The library has been a central fixture to our family for a place of growth since day 1. Living in a small town, it can sometimes be challenging to raise rounded and worldly children. They get to know the greater world that exists outside of our wonderful home. I have found the range of books and offerings have been well nourishing my children while feeding their curiosity. Whether it's reading to dogs, cross-stitching, or doing the escape room, they're thriving doing that, even just in that past week doing those 3 events. We've learned about VR, 3D printing, books clubs, photography, and so much more. And I definitely have to mention the countless hours my kids have listened to books read by Robin here at the library. I have found the staff and the community here deeply positive and caring, that the library has come to rival Disneyland as my kids' favorite place to spend time, and I'm not joking. I can only speak to what I know, and what I know is that the team here at this branch have been exceptional year after year. Meetings like this can serve as a lightning rod for criticism, especially in this town. But outside this meeting, this library, day after day, month after month, and year after year, has been serving our community very, very well. In support of the team and their considered choices for books and programming, I want to offer today a $5,000 donation to the branch in expression of my support and gratitude for what they do here at this library. I'm grateful for all that the team has done here for our community. Thank you.
It's always great to follow that. Thomas Powell. Good evening, members of the board, our volunteers, our staff, and our legal representative. Appreciate the work that you guys do. Although I hold a doctorate in law and policy, I'm not here as Dr. Powell. I'm here as a father and a grandfather. And last week I had the privilege of attending the drag queen story time with my granddaughters. It was a remarkable experience, and I commend the library staff and volunteers for their diligent efforts in fostering an environment of free speech and open access to diverse ideas, even those that may not be or may be controversial or offensive to some. I support the right of individuals to protest and voice their disagreements. This is a fundamental aspect of our society. However, I also believe in maintaining spaces where various perspectives can be shared and explored. Our nation is not a pure democracy. We live within a federalist system brilliantly designed by our founders. Figures such as James Madison and Alexander Hamilton were acutely aware of the dangers posed by factions. In Federalist Number 9, Hamilton emphasized the need for a separation of powers and a federalist structure to mitigate these threats, writing that our system is a barrier against domestic faction and insurrection. Madison also highlighted the necessity of such structures, stating in Federalist Number 51, if men were angels, no government would be necessary. These principles are crucial to the operation of our libraries. The library board as volunteers embodies the spirit of civic duty and governance envisioned by Madison and Hamilton. The board's role in maintaining a system that protects free speech and the exchange of ideas is essential to preventing the dominance of any single faction. By providing a platform for diverse voices and perspectives, the library ensures that our community remains a place of learning and mutual respect. My connection to Nevada runs deep. My grandfather was an early successful prospector in Tonopah and then Northern Nevada. My grandmother was one of the first emergency room nurses at St. Mary's Hospital. My mother was one of the first graduating classes of Bishop Winnow, and I attended the library here as a child growing up as one of the first settlers of what became known as Ivgit, as well as the public library in downtown Reno. This early exposure fostered a lifelong love for access to information, a passion I continue to indulge in using my library card. Despite working and studying worldwide, I still choose the Sierra Nevadas as my home, as do my children. This deep-rooted connection to the area underscores my commitment to preserving its values, ensuring it remains welcoming for people with diverse ideas and backgrounds. Let us continue to support our libraries as places where diverse voices can coexist and where the pursuit of knowledge is paramount. Thank you for your time and for your dedication to our community.
Very good. Okay, sorry, Tara, the Cures. Okay, Bruce Parks, Bree Schmidt, following.
Hi, Tara Taquitas.
Taquitas, I'm sorry.
I was happy to see that the library board is moving on from some of the topics that have dominated the board meetings in the past. I would ask for the board to consider putting on the agenda what role the board can play in supporting the Renew Washoe County's resolution that will be on the ballot in November, because I feel like supporting the library is the most important role of the board. So that's all that I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Tara, we will be talking about that under 6B, the Washoe County renewal update. Yeah, 6B. Oh, thank you. Okay. Parks, Brishman, Nassim, Trisha. Thank you. Okay. Yes, thank you. Go ahead.
Bruce Parks for the record. Document that I shared with you was prepared for a previous meeting, but the agenda item never took place. However, everything in there is still pertinent. I direct your attention to page 2 of what I shared with you. We've been trying for a long time to get an accounting for what Drag Queen Story Hour costs the Washoe County taxpayers, which is our chief complaint. We don't have a problem with your Drag Queen Story Hour, just not in our libraries. There are plenty of venues where that can happen throughout the county, not on the taxpayer dime. As you can see, if you look at the second event there in North Valley's library, they had additional security there than they normally have, and it cost $983.89 for security for that day. This is just one single event. We've been trying for a long time to get a true accounting, and it's never been forthcoming. We've been told there's no cost to the taxpayers because we get a check from our center. For those of you that speak Spanish, El Toro Poo Poo. you look at the next page, it gives a brief accounting for what staff costs are for that one event at the North Valleys Library. Last year, November, the library director gave us a presentation about all the merits of Drag Queen Story Hour and how it's an innocuous program and there's nothing wrong with it. There's additional information in your packet there. I challenge you to do your own research. Look this stuff up. It's not the innocuous, harmless event that it is made out to be. And it certainly shouldn't be on the taxpayer dime. I fully agree that we have to keep communication open, especially with people you disagree with. If we can't have conversation, especially if we disagree, bad things happen. In a marriage, it ends in divorce. In a society, it ends in civil war. I find it ironic that Dr. Powell brought up Federalist Papers. More on that later in this meeting, hopefully. I would love to have conversation. I would love to sit down with folks that don't agree with me and talk it out. It'll never happen. Why? Because the hatred and the intolerance is not coming from my side. Case in point. Thank you very much.
Hi, Marie Schmidt for the record. Good to see everybody here. It was so nice to see all the trustees who came to Drag Story Hour. It was really good to see you there. I just wanted to, again, same thing about really wanting to hear what the trustees' plans are over the next few months to ensure that the Renew Washoe County's resolution goes through, because it's been made very clear what the consequence for our libraries will be. That I don't know the exact numbers. I don't have to say something I don't know off the top of my head. But there will be a large impact to our libraries, their hours, librarians themselves. And I think regardless of where anybody stands on this issue, for coming to this meeting, I would hope that we all have libraries in our mind, and I know that y'all are doing a volunteer position to care for the libraries. So we'd really love to just hear more about plans over the coming months about how to keep the library funded. And yeah, that's what I was last. It was super fun. Tech Parents Kids, thank you all. Appreciate what you do.
Hi, good evening. Nassim Jamie for the record. That's NASEEM, I'd like to affirm my support for the library as a whole, including our wonderful library staff and director, and speak to your work as trustees. I appreciate how fraught your position has been for the last year and more. I'm sure most of us in the room would like to move on from the circus that has taken over these meetings and get back to library business. So as we've discussed, the commissioners voted to put the tax initiative on the ballot. You have already mentioned that there will be conversations about what the board is going to do to support that. The other thing I would like to know is what the board will do to combat misinformation about the initiative, such as the incorrect notion that this is a new tax or a tax increase, or that this money goes to funding programs that many in our community have misguided at best, ignorant at worst, and overall harmful notions about. So how will the board ensure that our libraries remain funded? How will you ensure that the library staff has all the support they need in order to conduct library business? I appreciate the library, and as by extension you as a board, cannot tell people how to vote. And when certain members of the board deliberately obfuscate details or outright spread misinformation, that does not help our cause in keeping the library funded. Trustee guidelines state that the library board's members' job is to make sure the library operates well, and an effective trustee promotes the interests of the library at all times. As in previous meetings, I suggest putting on the agenda explicit discussions as to what the purview of the board is and approaching organizations like Every Library for Trust and Training. I do see some of that on the agenda today, which I think is a phenomenal step in the right direction. I encourage you to lean on and trust the expertise of your library staff in thinking through some of these issues today, such as programming. For example, despite having a graduate degree in biology, I would not be qualified to run a program talking about the latest biomedical advancements because I'm no longer a practicing scientist. Or more far afield, something like tenant laws because I once rented. Please keep in mind that whatever programming is officially run for the library should be led by appropriate individuals as per the policy, and that should the public want to see certain types of programming, then it is possible to find individuals who are qualified to run that programming. If our library staff is overwhelmed and overworked, and therefore not getting back to people in a timely manner, then that's even more reason to center library funding and staff support. I encourage you to take to heart this line from your guidelines. All that you do should be in line with the mission of the library. According to the library website, that mission is to connect people with information, ideas, and experiences to support an enriched and engaged community, one person at a time. To do that, library business must be unimpeded, funded, and supported by your work as a board. I'm so appreciative of those of you who joined the board to make sure that work keeps happening, and I hope all of you can come together to return us back on track. Thank you.
Thank you. Patricia Moser-Morris. Patricia, and then, if I screw up your name, I'm so sorry. Rihanna, and then Mary Ann, and then M. Marks, and Stell Bennett. Sorry.
Thank you. Good evening, trustees. I'm Patricia Moser-Morris. I'm a full-time resident of Incline Village, and I love the library. I'd like to commend Jana Jacks for the excellent job that she has done as a presiding officer of the board, and I would like to urge the trustees to re-elect her to another term. I understand that Mr. Rogers will not be on the board starting July 1, and therefore I hope that he will recuse himself from this vote, as he will not be serving under the chair who is elected. Thank you very much, and thank you for this library.
Yes. Rihanna, sorry, last name Iverly, and then Mary Ann.
Oh, please. Oh, come on.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brianna Josiah Iverly. I'm a little nervous because it's being recorded, but I came here today to support the Drag Queen Story Hour because what do we exclude from our libraries? Why would we exclude something that we need our children to see? Where do we get culture if it's not coming from something that we don't know? How can we ever find a difference in the world if we don't try to understand each other? And I brought this book. It's called We Are Everywhere. I haven't read all of it yet, but I've read through the pictures, and I read through paragraphs. I'm about a quarter of the way through. I've looked through at most of the pictures. The pictures that I've seen show me a big history of the culture that I live in. And if I'm depriving that of knowledge to children, then that would be wrong. It would be wrong. Citizenship of your own. And I had to think about more what I would say, but I still have a minute and a half, so. I don't know if you all think, anybody in this world thinks that I would go to the library dressed like this. I would, but only under certain circumstances. I wouldn't go there because I'm trying to get looks from children or anything like that. Because I'm not seeking attention from children. LGBT, it has nothing to do with this. What matters is that all children are given a chance to explore all options in this world and understand the universe, the wonderfulness, the uniqueness of every single person. And I don't know, the person that can understand that, they're going to be amazing. I don't know who they are, but I'd like to meet that person right now. Anyway, I'm going to give you the last 45 seconds to think about that. John.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mary Ann?
Hi, I'm Mary Ann Barrar, and I'm in my 60s.
Please use the mic for folks online.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mary Ann. I'm in my 60s, and I'm here of support, of just support for what's right. I mean, look at all the years that have gone by. You know? Stand up for what's right. And I'm just supporting what's right. The library should continue funding the programs that they've been funding for the people that use them the most. Thank you.
Thank you. M. Marks, and then Stell Bennett. Any other names back there, John? Okay, M. Marks, we can call you back if they miss, they can come back. And then Stell Bennett, next up, and then Andrew Wyman.
I believe M. Marks left.
Okay,
Sorry.
thank you, that's okay. Stell Bennett, huh? And then Andrew.
Appreciate this opportunity to talk. Libraries are meant to educate and change confusion to understanding. So if you need to teach your children about drag queens and libraries, I would suggest you use the same method used to educate about Barn, Sesame Street, or the Wiggles. They're to entertain and possibly educate children. But if you are concerned about children being groomed or related things, I would suggest that you do what you can to keep out creepy uncles, clergy members, and members of Congress, since that is what statistics would say would be helpful. But I doubt that is the concern of those that are worried about this. Fairly certain their concern is making sure that youth that feel any queer tendencies do not feel safe. Anyone that is queer and doesn't see anyone that is like them is alone. And personally, I believe that the only ones that should be commenting on solutions to that loneliness are the ones that have experienced that loneliness. Because we know that what that loneliness can do to a kid. That was much faster than I thought it would be. The only thing else I have to say is I didn't think that I would have a chance to speak on this because I thought that it was going to be happening last month, and there was another emergency meeting the week after. And I understand that there are certain bylaws. I would suggest that paying attention to those bylaws would be important so that we can come together as a community. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. And Andrew Wyman, last on the list. Sir.
Apologies, I thought I was signing in.
Oh, okay. You want to talk?
I
Sure.
always
Go
go
ahead.
at the
Just
better
state your
half.
name for the record when you get up there. Thank you. Any other public comments, and then we'll look to Zoom. You have any hands up there?
Barbara Wyman, resident, but also a supporter of this library. We have donated and continue to support this library to see this building built, to have this building have opportunity to serve all of our patrons and our people who walk in the door. We have supported the entire library system with BookPage for many, many years, and enough for every library to receive that. We have done the outside of the building, the statue, the latest things having to do with Native Americans, and we continue to do that. It is open for all, it is supportive of all, and it is the major function that's available in Incline Village for every person, whether they live here, whether they're visiting, whether they're supporting, or taking out a book, or just reading. I don't want to see that changed. This is a very special place for everyone. And I am really concerned because of some of the issues, but I want to support this board to do the right thing. We fought very hard a few years ago when they wanted to take libraries away, and we basically convinced the community and the external community that libraries are not just books. Libraries are people. Libraries are programs. Libraries are feelings that we have that's free for all, an opportunity
for all, and a place for discourse, and a place for education, and a place for expansion. And it's been wonderful to see our seniors, or our senior high schools, working with retired people, educating everyone. There's a place for everyone on this. I don't want us to lose sight of that. And I hope that all of you on the board will honor the responsibilities that come with your election and your place on that board, because you, like myself, represent everyone. So thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for thinking about this when you're doing more. And thank you for not leaving all of us out. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. There's no other people signed in online for public. Oh,
there's a Janet, but sure.
very good. Moving on to public comment on Zoom. Folks, just give us a few more minutes. Yep, please, cue it up. All clear?
Janet, can you hear us?
State your name.
I can hear, can you hear me?
We can hear you, go ahead.
Okay. Good evening. I first of all want to start off by, again, I hate to complain, but the audio is very abysmal. I could hardly hear most of the people, what they were saying when they were speaking. I appreciate Mr. Parks bringing up the cost of a special event when the library was closed. And not only was there a cost to the library, but there was a cost to the citizens of Reno because policemen were called. And so 5 police people were taken off of the streets doing a job. And I, from what I was able to understand, it was because somebody was trying to ask a question and there was this perimeter set up, but also too, the doors were locked and 2 little girls, one who was sick, couldn't get out of the building. But back to the cost. Once upon a time, one of my very first projects that I had as a programmer was to figure out how much it cost to treat a telephone pole in creosote. So if you can do something like that, you can certainly detail out the cost of any event, anyhow, anyway. I do want to say that I've been going to the meetings for a couple of years now. And I have to say that I have been very pleased with the fact that we have a chair right now who asks for things. And I know that some people don't like it because the board has been run like a social circle or something in the past. And she's asking some tough questions, and I know that people aren't used to it and they don't like it. So I'm hoping that you will take that into consideration. It is finally being run like a meeting should be run, and I appreciate that. So I'm hoping that if we can do a special event for a personal agenda, that we might be able to take a look at doing some special events like Constitution Day, 4th of July. I understand I heard some ladies 2 years ago say they were turned down for doing something pertaining to 4th of July. So I think if we're going to do this, then we need to have equal representation for other events. Thank you.
Thank you. We will close public comment. Looks like Al Rogers is online, but just, you know, as a viewing member, if anybody can hear us on Zoom. Thanks all for zooming in. And with that, we'll just take a 5-minute recess. Thank you. You have to switch the virtual raise it.
Because that ties in directly with what I'm going to talk about.
Those people, it is truly why we have a constitution.
Yep. You're aware they don't teach the Constitution in law school anymore, right?
Well, they do, actually.
Not all the major law schools. All they teach now is court precedents, not the Constitution. The longest class on the Constitution in Yale Law School is a 30-minute presentation.
Northeastern law has constitutional law. They also have constitutional scholars, because I am one. And then Christopher Law School out of Chicago also teaches constitutional law. So I think those both need to be corrected as a statement of fact, as opposed to, and it also has to do with.
Let me retract my previous statement. Not all law schools.
That I would agree with. that is probably true. Yeah, they teach people how to pass a bar and civil procedures, and that's what it's about.
Did you know that Harvard Law?
Sorry?
Mark Simpson's from Harvard.
Well, as a graduate of Harvard and a libertarian, I can understand why people that are not actually about what goes on there. Yes, it is a bastion of speech, but it's a bastion of speech. Debate, all those things. We need a debate on communism.
We need to go for that.
I'm sorry?
What do you got for stretch?
Oh, got it.
Yeehaw.
Oh, your brother's watching the girls? I asked Jackie to review the offers.
Oh, yeah, I heard, I saw it come through.
Well, it's okay, guys. You might get over there.
That's good. Good job. You guys are doing great.
Al is still part of the board, and until a new member is, am I on? I'll just keep talking louder. Testing, 1, 2, 3.
You broke it. That's coming out of your picture.
Okay, keep going. Okay, let's go. Okay. Well, that's okay, folks, here we go. This is it. You want me to switch?
No, that's fine.
Just keep talking and we can look at the balance.
Okay, so we're going to try to move really swiftly through this meeting, folks. In the interest of time, I'm going to try and get this board adjourned by 7 p.m. so that we can drive safely, most of us back down the mountain. So I'm going to try and move through this agenda pretty swiftly. Said it twice, not as swiftly. Okay. First, we have some business to take care of. We need to approve some minutes, so we're going to move on to agenda item 3A, and I'll ask the board if we can also do agenda item 5F immediately following as we're looking at minutes to approve both the approval of the minutes from May 22 of 2024, agenda item 3A. So we're just going to be approving our minutes, folks, from the last meeting. I'll look to the board for any discussion on the minutes. Vice Chairman.
Hi, Vice Chair Moser for the record. The minutes are very detailed, but a little sloppy. I would encourage us to do less detail and more emphasis on just making it look like it's like words are capitalized and beginning of sentences, so that we don't look as sloppy on our records.
Yeah.
There's many. So just if we can make sure when we're going through these, I think summarizing and making sure that they're concise is better.
Thank you. Is that a motion also?
I will motion to approve the minutes as long as there is a revision to some of the typos and whatnot.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, we can see some of the, just flipping through it. But, like, for instance, my last name has an S. Little things like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Trustees, we have a motion on the table. Any other discussion?
I would, Ann Slicker for the record, I would move to second that motion based on corrections, some typos, some spelling, but also in the interest of clarity, I think the minutes could be more concise. And if individuals would like to submit written, typed out notes that they've made during public comment, that's helpful, but I don't think we have to recite them.
Thank you. I would like to maybe ask on our DA, when folks submit for the record something to be passed out, they want that in the minutes. None of those are ever attached. Are they attached somewhere else, or not required?
For the record, if someone comes in and provides us with what they call a verbatim account of their public comment, that should be included as part of the record. If an individual comes in, however, and a public comment indicates that I want my comments reflected in the record verbatim, then that is not required pursuant to the open meeting law. I did want to comment on the December minutes, and we've addressed this months ago as to the nature, if the board sees the minutes have improved drastically and the more current versions are summaries rather than a verbatim account. I understand that there are still some typo and punctuation issues with the December minutes. However, I think that those minutes accurately reflect and incorporate everyone's comments into those minutes.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, just make some really big typos up here at the top. With just the names of the trustees. Yeah, go ahead, Ann. Any discussion, Tammy?
Yeah, Ann Silver for the record, just a clarification from Mr. Kaplan. In other words, if someone is making public comment and provides us with written commentary that mirrors what they've said at the podium, that must be part of the minutes. If they simply speak at the podium and ask us to take down what they've said verbatim, we are not obligated to do that. Is that correct?
Perfect. For the record, that is correct. And, you know, again, back, I think it was in November of last year, for some reason we went to the verbatim minutes, which obviously were a mess to some degree. And it was not required by the open meeting law. We talked about this at the December and January meetings. So I think that's been corrected. The minutes for the December meeting were left somewhat intact, but the additional comments that were missing were added.
Thank you. Any other discussion from the board?
Trustee Rupp, for the record, I wasn't at the December meeting, so I'm going to defer to those of you that were about the corrections. And I, agree with the current, or the first set of minutes from the May 22nd. I did notice also some grammatical things, but I agree that as long as it accurately portrays, we're okay.
Okay. Thank you. So it looks like we have a motion then to approve with grammatical corrections. I'll call for public comment on our action item. Sure. Go ahead, state your name for the record.
I'm Kate Salim for the record. Should I press the button? It's great. Kate Salim for the record. I noticed in my public comment it lists that I wished that the library board meetings would take place at 3 p.m. I actually said 5 p.m. and I believe several other members, both of the board and of the public, requested a 5 p.m. meeting. So I'd like that correction, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Any other discussion or public comment on this item? I have a motion and a second. I'll call for a vote on this item. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion
Madam
passed.
Chair.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. All.
Sorry about that. I just want to make sure that I was read into the record. I know you acknowledged me, but I had my time of entering the meeting, and I'd like the minutes to reflect with this vote that I arrived at 5:46, and I did vote in the affirmative for the minutes approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Rogers. Very good. So we have a unanimous motion to pass those minutes from the May meeting. So we will move on then, just back to back with approval of minutes. Bye, folks. Thanks again. So agenda item 5F, we've got corrective action on the December 23 Library Board of Trustee meeting minutes. Just going back and correcting some minutes from December. I'll look to the board for any discussion.
Madam Chair, Trustee Rupp, for the record. I feel like we talked about this too, and then that DA Kaplan addressed it as well. So I feel like with those few grammatical corrections, I move that we accept the corrected minutes for that December 23rd meeting.
Thank you.
I would second
I would accept that.
Yep, second, very good. Seconded. Any board discussion, and I'll call next for public comment, please, on an action item. call for public comment. Okay, seeing none, I'll go ahead and call for a roll call on this motion item of my board. Looking for a roll call. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Very good, thank you. Motion passes. Moving on. Thank you. Thank you very much. As a matter of privilege as the chair, in order just to keep things moving along, I would like to get our county, Washoe County Manager's business item 5I. And I don't know if we're going to have, this is very good, Mr. Solaro for 5I. This is the discussion and direction to Washoe County staff to initiate a process to define the performance review criteria for the library director position. Options for completion of the performance review process may include hiring a consultant to best work through best practices with the board, utilize expertise of members of the board, utilize expertise of Washoe County Human Resources, and other options. And the intent of this discussion is to provide the direction to Washoe County so the board and the director have a consistent and reliable way to assess the performance of the director as employee of the Library Board of Trustees. Thank you. Mr. Solaro, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Jacks. For the record, my name is Dave Solaro, Assistant County Manager with Washoe County. As some of you will remember, in December I came before the board to provide the evaluation of the director, and there was quite a bit of conversation regarding what the needs of the board were for evaluation of the director. There were many options thrown out, and this item is really to get your input, actually a board vote, on the option that you would like me to choose to assist you through the next evaluation of the library director. So, as you'll recall at the time, Washoe County Human Resources has a process that they've gone through. Nobody was happy with that process. I totally understand that. That is still, however, an option to work with Washoe County Human Resources to create a process that works for you. There was also some discussion by the board members of potentially utilizing your own expertise to create a process whereby we could create an evaluation for the director. And then there's a third option, which Human Resources has come to me with, to hire an outside consultant to work with the board and the director to create really objective criteria for the evaluation of the library board. My recommendation to you is that we take Human Resources up on that and create a contract with a consultant. I can get this going fairly quickly. To sit down with each of you to understand your direction that you would like to provide for the library, for the library director, create objective criteria, sit down with Director Scott and do the same thing and come together in an understanding of what the objective criteria for an evaluation and a process ought to be. So this is something that will take 2 or 3 months. It will include some training for not only the board, but the director as well. I can be involved through the whole process. But I do think that's a way for you all to have confidence in the direction that you are giving the library director, and have the library director then have information so that he knows where he stands with the wishes of the board. So this is really here to give you the opportunity to provide feedback to me on which direction you'd like to do. I do need a vote for the whole board. I can't just do individual. This is a board decision. So there's a little bit of discussion, and I'm sorry I don't have any information on what the process really looks like, but I would like to, say, hey, if you want me to do a consultant, I will get a consultant on board who would do that. If you want to do it yourselves, figure out a way to do that. Or if you'd like me to go through a process with Washoe County Human Resources, we can do that. Or if you've got any other options, this is written specifically so that there's a full menu here for you all. However, my recommendation to staff at Washoe County is that we hire a consultant to assist the board through this process. So with that, I'll turn it back over to the board.
Thank you, Mr. Solaro. I have a quick question. Sorry, thank you, Mr. Solaro. Quick question. Are we giving one of these options? Because you mentioned hiring a consultant and human resources, so this is all three.
So I've given you.
Is it options?
I've given you 3 options.
Okay.
There's also an item here that item number 3, which is utilize expertise of Washoe County Human Resources or other options as not outlined. So if you have an item or an idea as a board on how you would like to do this, I can put that input as well. Again, I would recommend option 1, which is hiring a consultant. This is board decision. So hopefully that clarifies.
Could we utilize all three? Is that what we're?
I think it would be very difficult to utilize all three. I think in option one, the expertise of the board comes out in the discussions with the consultant. It's really someone to help you get there. Someone that dedicated time to you to create this process for you. I think that's the beauty of a consultant, because you probably all don't have a lot of time. I know Washoe County Human Resources doesn't have a ton of time. This is important, however, we want to make sure that we meet the needs of the library board, trustees, and the director.
Thank you, Mr. Schlau. So I can say that getting this on our agenda today allows us the discussion to allow the staff to move forward so that as we anticipate the annual director's review, which is in December, this new process would be in place by then. So this is why getting this on the agenda now so quickly, and thank you for everyone that's rushing it through, allows them to move next steps forward. Go ahead,
Madam
Trustee
Chair, and Silver for the record, through you to Mr. Solero, at whose expense would this consultant be charged to?
Washoe County Human Resources has budget to do this on behalf of the Board of Trustees.
And another question, if you don't mind. So I assume there are HR professionals in your HR department. And I took the liberty of going on Google and seeing all sorts of performance evaluations. I'm not disavowing your recommendation of a consultant, but it would concern me if through the entire Department of Human Resources of Washoe County, there aren't a few people we might work with to utilize many of the evaluation forms that I saw online and get this done rather quickly. I'm not opposed to consultants. I just think we have made a mountain out of a molehill. And I think amongst us, we know what we'd like to see by way of qualitative and quantitative feedback, as well as accomplishments and areas for improvement. And I don't think it would take more than 2 hours to do this. So while I thoroughly respect your advice, I just can't believe the expertise doesn't reside with the Washoe County HR department. They are overseeing reviews for all sorts of directors throughout the county. Thank you.
Madam Chair, Herb Kaplan for the record. I do want to clarify that this item is not designated for possible action. However, the board is allowed to provide guidance and direction to staff to allow this process to move forward in whatever way the feedback indicates. So I would urge not taking a vote, but if all the trustees can provide feedback and guidance as to their position, then hopefully Mr. Solero will walk away with clear guidance.
Trustee Moser for the record. Sure. I have to echo what Ann said. I've sent best practices from Boston Public Library to the director and to HR, and they have done best practices from New Jersey and surrounding areas. So this information exists. It wouldn't have to be made so much differently. There are libraries as well. So I believe we can do this in a quicker amount of time as well. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. Go ahead, Trustee Rodney.
Thank you. I guess I would just echo my comments from last month's meeting where this was on the agenda. And while I don't disagree with Mr. Solero's recommendation as far as a consultant, I would just go on the record with obviously somewhat of a bias, having worked in Washoe County, that I believe, to point into Trustee Silver's comments, that our HR department, your HR department, has the full capacity, I feel, to provide the resources, the background, the intuition to put together a good review package from what it is now to what it will be. So I would, again, not be opposed to a consultant similar to Trustee Silver, but I'm not sure if it's necessary given where you're starting from. I guess the only thing I would add would be that possibly through HR, or if we go with a consultant, would be to look at local and I'll refer to others as CEOs, directors that are also evaluated kind of in this venue, if you will, by a board, and ask maybe a follow-up question to Mr. Solero with the county manager and with the Truckee Meadows Fire Department chief, who are in these similar roles, who are hired, evaluated, and employed by the board, if they are going through any type of process improvement to their review or evaluation process. But I guess I would leave it as, again, the pleasure of the board. Obviously, I just wanted my input as to, I think we could use our HR department. I think the knowledge on the board with that would be suffice. If you feel we need a consultant, and it sounds like HR has consultants out there that would provide this resource at no cost to the library system, I wouldn't be opposed to that. So if Mr. Solero could just kind of follow up on those other two, what the status of those are.
For the record, Dave Solero. Trustee Rogers, you are correct there. The fire chief, as well as the county manager, go through a process whereby there is a public evaluation of those positions. Washoe County Human Resources does not oversee the fire chief. However, for the county manager, they are in the process of updating that process. They have taken some of the information from the board, as well as some of the information from some consultants, to really get this, evaluation process modernized. We've been utilizing a process for many, many years to evaluate the manager position. We've tried different ways, but the Board of County Commissioners has given some directions that kind of modernize this. And so this is very similar to what we're trying to do with this board. We utilized a process in the past at the direction of the Board of Trustees. It was a portion of the county manager's old way to do business. It was changed just a little bit. So yes, they've got the expertise. I would have to say though that, along the same lines, they are also, like all of us, kind of strapped for time to be able to do things timely for the entire county, as well as Library Board of Trustees. It was their recommendation to me that we, work with a consultant. So either way, they will be involved through this process. So I appreciate your feedback on all of this.
And I appreciate that insight as to the status. So thank you. I can see that a consultant may be needed just to expedite the timeliness on this, and I would support that. Thank you.
Trustee Moses.
Oh, sorry.
Trustee Ruff, for the record. First of all, thank you for being here tonight to give us that information. Thank you, Chair Jacks, for working on this, and also to Director Scott. And it feels to me like I concur with what's been going, in my mind as far as what this evaluation may look like, that I think we could do it fairly rapidly in-house. I really appreciate you investigating whether we could have a consultant, and if for some reason we need it, then it's nice to know that's a backup, but also nice to know we wouldn't have to maybe spend the county's money to do it as well. So thank you for all of involved. So I'm on board with that. I also wanted to mention, fast-tracking this and getting it in place for December, I still think there needs to be a discussion about a hold harmless, because the director can't be asked to follow I would imagine there's some sort of HR rule about that as well. When you change someone's evaluation in the middle of the year, what does that look like? And I don't know. I just know as an educator, a past educator, there was a hold harmless year, and then you were held accountable. So I just wanted that discussed as well.
Yeah, if I may address that, for the record, Dave Solero. Again, this is a process between the board and the director, and so I think that discussion that we have, as you start giving direction to the director, and the director, works with you all of that can be worked out. It's interesting to me that the director does not have a contract. He is an at-will employee of the Board of Trustees with no contract. If it were up to me, I would suggest that this board also create a contract and, through this process for the director. But that may be too much, and that might be, for future discussion. Because, the other individuals that were discussed by Trustee Rogers, they both have independent contracts with the boards that they serve. So that's something that Director Scott and I have discussed in the past, but certainly that is something to be worked on in the future, I would say.
Thank
Thank you, Mr. Solaro. Go ahead, Vice Chair Moser.
Trustee Moser? So it sounds like what I'm hearing from the board is that options 2 and 3, a synthesis of utilizing the board and utilizing the HR would be the best route. I would volunteer myself to do this. I can put together an analysis of every state's library board. I can do this on my own. I can get it to you next week. So if we want this, I can do it. But we should probably have your staff work through this with us. But if necessary, I can expedite this today.
Thank you, Vice Chair Moser. I appreciate the board discussion and, again, Mr. Solaro's time. I'm leaning towards number 1. I don't have any problem if the county wants to help us, bring in a consultant, that's fine. And so, Mr. Solaro, without action on this board, you said you need direction from the board. What do you need from us to go back? Since there's no action.
Chair Jacks, for the record, Dave Solaro. I think I've received the feedback as it's described by your legal counsel, related to this piece. What I will do is I will summarize the discussion, and create a schedule with human resources to see what we can do. I really appreciate Vice Chair Moser. If you could provide that, just go ahead and email me whatever information you got. We can work through that, and we will come back with a schedule to you all to get this taken care of. Part of this will need to be done in an open meeting. Lots of it will not, because there will be meetings individually with the trustees to gather the feedback, to put it into a format. And so I feel like we can get this done fairly quickly, and we can get something put into place for you all to move with. So I think I've got enough information for you all, although not as clear as I would love, just because I was hoping to get a board vote, but I understand open meeting law and what that looks like. So thank you.
Mr. Solaro, I did want to say and address Trustee Rupp. I think what we're looking for, the process here would start in December and then move forward from there. Yeah, so nothing like what you were saying, yes, to clarify. So what we're doing is looking for a new process to start in December moving forward for the director's review as a board. We're not trying to change anything in the middle of anything, as Trustee Rupp was saying. Just real quick question, the director's review that you gave us was an online survey. Do they do a survey also with the county manager? Is it online?
That is correct. There are, certain people that are determined by the chair of the board and the county manager can have that survey sent. The board of trustees have given me direction to just have that done with the trustees themselves, and so that's why we followed that process last time.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Go ahead.
Oh, just want to say thank you for taking this seriously. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Madam Chair?
Yeah, go ahead.
I the online survey. I don't know, since I wasn't here in December. I don't know what that is.
Okay, so, sorry, I didn't mean to call it a survey. So for the director's review, the way it was done was an online questionnaire that we all received, and then we just digitally did, I said a survey, but fill out the review, and then it went back digitally. For instance, in Churchill County, they did a paper review on site at their meeting, so digital paper, just a matter of procedure.
I wasn't sure if that was for the public or for the board.
That was for the board's review of the director. Yeah, it was an online.
So just on that note, I would suggest that we don't do an online one that has a timestamp, because then you can trace who at what time, and if people were to hack data, then you would be able to see whose vote goes to what. So if we do it, I would suggest doing it in a survey that does not show the timestamp.
Nobody's hacking data. Don't say that. Take it back. Yeah. Okay. Mr. Slar, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your evening in Incline. It's so gorgeous up here. Okay. Thank you. In the interest of time, I do want to discuss a few items before I'd like to give the reports from the library staff and the director's update and the Renew Washoe County Library Tax Initiative. I know a lot of you wanted to hear about that, so I want to get those presentations done before we get to a little more meats and potatoes of some things that the board can do. With that, I have an agenda item 5G and 5H with the pleasure of the board, if you could just give me a moment. These two items are discussion only, and it was possible action for an appeal request. However, there's some discussion on the verbiage of my agenda item. So agenda item 5G is discussion only regarding events policy. It pertains to the appeals process and what a person who is denied an event can do and the procedures the board will take under an appeal request. The reason for this discussion was so that we could discuss agenda item 5H as we move forward into proper verbiage and open meeting law. My process for discussion was to hear the board's discussion of the events policy and what happens if an appeal does happen and what we would do from there. So I'm not sure which direction the board, Mr. Kaplan, might chime in.
Thank
Madam
you.
Chair?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'll defer to the DA, but just from my trustee point, I will not, at the communication of the DA, I will not be providing any input or comment on those items that were identified as possible open meeting law violations. So when and if those come back to an agenda that are properly noticed and agendized, I would participate if it is in the next month, but if not, I won't today. So appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Madam Chair, Herb Kaplan for the record. I did review those items and I even asked for feedback from a number of people, including several of the trustees, and I did not find that they were clear and complete enough to satisfy the requirements of the open meeting law. Specifically, item G appears to be, it could be one of two things, and I'm still not sure what it is, but various individuals interpreted it as different items, and the intent of the open meeting law is to provide notice, clear and complete notice, to the public and to the trustees of what we're going to be discussing at a meeting. So, and with respect to item H, I think there were just crossed wires in terms of getting this agenda approved. I did provide some feedback on that. I believe that in order for us to move forward on this type of an item, we would need to identify the individual who has submitted an appeal, what they're appealing from, and just the nature of the event that they had submitted, again, to allow the public full and complete identification of what that item is and what the discussion might be. So my recommendation is that we pull those two items, table those two items, as I do not believe they comply with the open meeting law at this point.
Thank you. We'll have to table these items. I understand, and now that it's been discussed, we will have to table these agenda items.
It's absolute terror.
Okay. We do have a, yes, thank you.
And Silver for the record, once again, Mr. Kaplan, just to clarify. The way these were written don't comport with open meeting law. In other words, an individual who wants to appeal something or has been denied an event has to be named. so that we can address the particular circumstances and allow that individual an appeal? Is that what you're saying?
Herb Kaplan for the record. Specifically with item H, it indicates that someone submitted an appeal based on being denied an event request. I'm not even sure what that means. I believe I know what it means, but I am not sure what that means. And yes, the individual should be named, the event should be named, and what that individual is appealing from should be indicated, as there's a process in place through our policy that needs to be followed, and we just need to make sure that that's being followed.
Thank you. Trustee Silver, what I was gonna do was, I didn't know to put the applicant's, full name. And then I was just gonna submit the emails and a discussion at that time that the board received. So I don't know what other board members might have not understood the verbiage. But now that it's been mentioned, we understand it now. But I just wanted the board to discuss.
Chair, I'm not sure of the specific event or what the appeal was based on or to whom it might apply. I do think it would be valuable at some point for this board to discuss the appeal process and the suspension policy, the appeal process. There are many things that we've lightly touched upon in meetings but never had a discussion about. And if there are individuals who have something to appeal, I would want to know the individual. I would want to know what they appealed. I would want to know the status of that appeal and whatever responsibility the board has to weigh in on that.
That's just the discussion I wanted to have. This is exactly the discussion. So, Lauren.
Trustee Moser, so
Yes.
I have to agree that this is something that we do need to discuss, but I would suggest that we reword this and discuss it next meeting. But it is something that we do need to discuss, that I have had issues with this, with the director in terms of getting, at least I think this refers to Constitution Day, we need to have openness to all types of programming, as we've already, proven. And so this is something we do need to talk about at some point.
Any discussion? Go ahead, Trustee.
Madam Chair.
Trustee Silver?
This is not for a motion, but to further the conversation from Trustee Moser, I think I would put on the agenda for the next meeting identification of the appeal matter, of what it pertains to, and what is our policy, or the board's purview over an appeal. I struggled with finding a couple of different policies and only recently found them, and to the extent the board is ultimately involved, I'd like to get some clarification as to when it's appropriate to converse about this and how the process is handled through the library, through the various libraries, and then to the director and to the board, because it seems to me we've had appeals since I joined the board, and I've never been, none of them have ever been brought to the board's attention that I am aware of. So I think we're avoiding the ultimate conversation, so I'd like to see it agendized in the future. And if Mr. Kaplan can assist with more clarifying language, that would be very helpful. We'd appreciate his legal expertise on how the matter should be worded.
And Madam Chair, Herb Kaplan for the record, I think what the board is asking to do is to review the event policy and specifically the appeal process with regard to an individual who has submitted an event proposal and has been denied. Is that fair to say?
That's exactly
So-
agenda G.
And I think we need to pull those two items and agendize that properly for the next meeting.
Sorry, trustee Rob.
Madam Chair.
1 second, trustee Rogers. Go ahead, trustee Rob.
Okay, trustee Ruff, for the record, I think there is an appetite on this board to discuss some policies, and I think just agendizing it correctly to meet open meeting law is appropriate. I think it goes to a greater need, and that is some training for the board, whether it's from the Nevada State Library, I don't know who does board training, but it would be nice to have some board training as well. I don't know if any of us have had any board training, but I think there is an appetite for discussion and addressing these issues.
Okay, trustee Rogers.
Just a quick comment, excuse me. I don't think it was an action item, but I did bring up last month's meeting, again, to kind of start where DA Kaplan suggested that we look at policies, and I would just support going to that level of policy, and I think we left it as we need to do all of them at some point, but that the event and the special event and room use policies were probably the two that were the highest, I guess, need, or at this point, why this agenda is on there. It's just that it needs to be addressed sooner than later. So, again, appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you. It's on here. I just feel like we just need to move on, but I cannot say, I'm sorry, enough to the applicant who is on the agenda and wish to discuss it here today. So this is unfortunate, I know. Trustee Silver.
Madam Chair, Ann Silver for the record. I don't know who the applicant is, but I don't think you owe an apology to anyone. I think we're making progress in the fact that we are collectively as a board asking, as Trustee Rogers has said, to look at the event policy, room use policy. I would like to look at the suspension policy for board edification, and because ultimately we're named as parties to an appeal. So I think we do need we need to tighten up the language on this so that that individual has redress to us, and we better understand what our role is relative to appeals, whether they be of an event or room use or library privileges, etc. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion from the board? Thank you, Trustee Silver. Apologies still are being sent. Okay, so I'm going to table item 5G and H following board discussion. Thank you, Mr. Kaplan. Okay, folks, I'd like to hear these library staff presentations that you're all here and you asked about. As we move through the agenda, I'd like to move on to agenda item 6 for reports. In your agenda packet, if you were able to see it, for those of you listening and watching, there's a few updates, both from the director and then the outreach team and the Incline Village Library presentation. So we can get started with 6A. Mr. Scott?
Sure. 6A submitted the library director update, so it gives information on our progress. So we've had our summer reading kickoff, so lots of support for that. June 1st, we had to kick off for all our libraries. Summer reading program is of interest, starts at your library. So it's a fun program, lots of sign-ups, lots of kids are really excited about reading in our library. Did an update for Cullo on that, doing the launch for summer reading. We had some news coverage, so we have our renewal tax, the tax override on the agenda, and was passed by the Board of County Commissioners. So we're off and running for that, and we had some good television coverage for that. I put in the top headlines from the County Commissioners for that meeting that gives explanation about the tax override, what it does, and that was a nice little explainer from the document we submitted. I also did a tax update on the American Managed Radio, the editor's desk. So a little picture there. I put the direct link for the Facebook because it's the only way you can find it. And then we had some articles about the board appointment, and then about the draft story hour we had last week. So I did a thank you for the library staff who helped with primary elections. So as you know, we host the primary early elections every year. So we're really excited that the library staff can coordinate that so smoothly, and then also that they can assist with the actual elections. We have a lot of volunteers helping with ballots and elections in general, so it was really great to have that. I went to the Nevada Library Director Summit at the end of April with our Assistant Library Director, Stacey McKenzie. So we went and talked with other library directors across the state. I led the speed mentoring round, which got introduced library directors from across the state. So we introduced people who may be new to Nevada, people who have more experience in Nevada, and I think that was really good conversations about, you know, you maybe have a lot of experience as a library director coming to Nevada, things are very unique, good conversations with that. I also led the directors' conversation with directors from across the state, so they all had conversations about how to advocate for the library, how to get funding, how to keep staff morale up, and things like that. So it was a really fun time going up there, great environment, and great to see all our library director support up there. We had a drag story hour, so I have some pictures from that event. So a lot of fun at the North Valleys and for the downtown Reno. Some pictures from that event, and so that's really good. And then we'll have another one in September. We have the LSTA grant conference room upgrade we submitted. So we're working on edits to that grant. So it's a $75,000 grant. We're going to be upgrading the Spanish Springs Library, Incline Village Library. So as you know, in our board meetings, we have some challenging issues with our technology. This will basically kind of hard-coded into the room at some of our locations. So then as we come, it's just plug and play, microphones in the ceiling, you have cameras that are fixed, and it'll be a much easier process for us to set up the room and also to record these meetings. So we should, if the grant is successful, we should see some upgrades at Incline Village here and Spanish Springs. And we're also going to have some huddle spaces that'll be a mobile unit we can pull in that make it a lot easier for us to do these board meetings as well as host board meetings like the CAP meetings. We're going to have a new vending machines. We had soda vending machines in our libraries before COVID. They got taken out during COVID. Spanish Springs is going back. It's a program with Dieter, which is an employment agency of the state. And we also have our LBOT, so we introduced that. And then Washoe County Libraries was approved. And then Trustee Rogers is not reappointed for the board. He can reapply for the trustee seat. We have the application open as of right now. And we'll probably have that closed mid-July. We'll probably see that before the Board of County Commissioners for an appointment sometime in August. Questions on the director update?
Thank you. No? Sorry, none here. Any questions? No?
Oh, sorry, I have a question. Casey was. So I was just curious for the vending machines, for the soda machines. So you're saying that right now Spanish Springs is just maybe going to get one?
Yeah, Spanish Springs would be the only one to get one. We had them at other locations before, but they were very problematic and didn't get much use.
Okay.
And so Spanish Springs is going to get one. The hope of the Dieter feels that we have enough traffic to get more units, but I think some of the staff have felt that it wasn't used and it was very cumbersome if there were issues. So we're going to work with Dieter on that to see about getting other locations.
Okay, and so this partnership, could it be expanded with Dieter to multiple libraries?
Yeah, that's kind of what we're talking about. Initially, they wanted to do more, but our issue with that is we kind of had a bad experience with vending machines in the past at other locations. So we're going to try it at Spanish Springs first and then see if the managers feel like we can expand that.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, Director Scott. 6B, ready? So.
What's that? Yep.
6B, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so we have the Reno Washoe County Libraries Initiative. So we got approved by Board of County Commissioners. So we're off and running for that. We have, put in front of you our brochure for the Reno Washoe County Libraries Initiative. So you'll have these brochures in all of our libraries. We'll also have a poster as well. So if you want to get information, this is about voter education. So our program is about voter education. We have paid programming, paid social media with Grace Hayes. We have the Media Blitz coming up. We have PBS Reno doing our ads. We have This is Reno doing our ads. We're going to look at other expansion to doing these ads on television, on local radio, and getting the word out there. You see some of the reports, how successful we are getting in the news. The more exposure we can, the better. Right now, the focus on that for us is telling how much the tax does right now. Tax override helps pay for weekend hours and also help renovate our facilities. So we're going to continue to renovate the facilities if the tax were to pass. So South Valley's Incline Village and Spanish Springs are all due for renovation, and also plans for a new North Valley's library if it were to pass. And then looking at also the consequences if it does not pass, loss of weekend hours, basically recession era cuts, that would be detrimental. And then basically educating to the public that it's not a new tax, that essentially it's the same tax override, which is basically when the county collects your tax, they demand the commission to give 2 cents directly to the library of that. So it's an override of the commission decision, that's why it's called an override, so it guarantees that funding for the library. So we recently did a poll on that, and I'll share that poll in the July meeting. So if the election were to happen today, we'd have 68% of the votes approving of the tax, which is great. And it's a bipartisan support, so it's across the board. You had Republicans, Democrats, and nonpartisans all supporting the tax in that survey. So I'll put that out there for July so you can see that and get more information. But we're off and running. We're looking really good as far as our metrics and for getting the word out. I'm going to be doing more talks and having other people do more talks to local service clubs and just getting the word out about what all the tax does for our libraries. Any questions?
Any questions from the board? Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
Not a question, Trustee Moser, but I just didn't want to encourage and emphasize to utilize the board to be the people in the community that are navigate or discuss, have these conversations and expelling the information that it's a tax. So if you could invite us to, so there's no quorum, but if you could invite us to leverage the board, I'm sure all of us would be more than willing to come to events.
Fantastic, that's great. And then if any of you are comfortable doing public speaking, always can do that too, looking for other people. So if you're comfortable doing that, I can kind of get a rotation going to do public speaking on that. So
Look at you all.
so that would help as well, because that would just get more people out there, board member talking about that. The good news about kind of talking about this is it's voter education. So essentially what we're saying is if you like what you see, continue with the tax. Let us know in November. That's sort of the ultimate comment card is kind of the joke about that. So we can't say people to vote for the tax, but we can say, here's all the things the tax does. If you want to see that continue, let us know in November. And so that seems to work as far as voter education and draws that line without promoting the tax.
And just to clarify, so you're saying that librarians are trained to be able to discuss this?
That's right.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I've done talks with all of the branches, so I've gone over the talking points with that, talking about what happens if it passes, what happens if it fails, what the tax actually does, and what the benefits are for that. And we'll have those posters. So they'll have posters, all the libraries that look like this. They'll try bigger posters with a QR code that goes to the expansion fund website that explains what's going on with that. And these brochures are available. So that's our own Amanda at Incline Village Library on the cover, helping a patron. I think her name is Chris, I can't remember now, but so that's just basically us in action, doing cool stuff. And you want to continue to see that happening, then that's let us know in November. So.
Okay, thank you for your work.
Chair Jess.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Through you. Thank you, Director Scott. I am so excited that this got, placed on the ballot and, somewhat comfortable with public speaking, but I would be happy to help out in any way. And I'm curious, with this fund, I know this built some libraries over the past 30 years. Is there, or has there been an area already identified where the next library branch would be built?
We have some locations in North Valleys right now, but it's something where you don't want to say this is where it's going to go because it changes the dynamics of things. So we do have land that's available in the North Valleys region that we can use. So if it passes, and then we also have a large donation that's coming probably sometime next year. And once that comes into place, then we'll be able to move very quickly on that and probably build something within the next 5 years.
Excellent. Thank you.
Madam Chair, through you, Mr. Scott, Councilor for the records. I wasn't able to find it, but what approximately is the amount of money raised by taking this from assessed value to property value? And what does that yield for the?
So the expansion tax is the presentation I did last month. So about $4.5 million annually.
Thank you.
Any other board discussions? Very good. Thank you very much, everybody. Okay, let's see. Is Jonica ready? Item 6C. This is the outreach team presentation by North Valley's Library Branch Manager. Very good.
Good evening. I'm not very good at these, so
just keep talking.
Do my best. Here we go.
Jonica Bowen, branch manager of the North Valleys Library and chair of the Washoe County Library Systems Outreach Service Team. So I'm actually here not to speak about North Valleys specifically, but to speak about the outreach service team just as a part of our annual update to the board, and just have some light background and updates. There's some of you who are newer since the last time I was here, and then I'm available for questions that you might have. So we have established an outreach service team. It was established coming out of the pandemic as a response to being able to provide outreach as we have done for many, many years at the library to our community in a safe way and according to protocol that was in place at the time. In doing that, and as the protocols lifted, we found that that was a more effective way for us to run outreach and provide a wider breadth of opportunity for our staff members to participate in that process of doing outreach. Outreach is, in my experience, where I often come away just astounded that I get paid to do the work that I do, because we have so much fun doing it. And a lot of folks want to do that when they're hired onto the library specifically. So we have currently about 14 people who make up this service team. It's comprised of interest from across our entire system, including folks from admin, folks at management, supervisory level, and frontline services. And beyond that, beyond the service team table, then we provide outreach. It's delivered by anybody in our library system, most frequently those people on the front lines. So they go outside of the branch and extend those services. We meet monthly, and we have a standing agenda that has purpose, which includes reviewing pending outreach requests and invitations from the community. We have an online outreach request form that's on our website that can be accessed by anybody in the community who's interested in having the library come to them, have the opportunity to bring their organization to a library, have the bookmobile come and visit now, which has been a huge push for outreach. And we take those form submissions on a monthly basis and review those against our available resources and ability to participate in those opportunities. In the last year, we've accepted and participated in more than 44 community outreach opportunities, which is pretty incredible because we're fitting this in around our regular day-to-day work in the library. And I should also mention that we are only responsible for addressing community outreach, so fairs, parades, business outreach, things that you might see going on for the larger community as a whole. For instance, last weekend we just completed World Refugee Day, which was a festival at Miguel Rivera Park. So those types of events. Anything to do with education or early literacy is still overseen at an outreach level by our Youth Services and Library Events team, YSLE. So 44 is just a snapshot of half of what we're doing out in the community for outreach. The way we provide outreach to the community is twofold. One is outreach as service. And this has really come to fruition through the two things that we've done in the last couple of years, which is introduce kiosks to the community. So we go and provide outreach to train communities like the Sun Valley community, the Cold Springs community, how to utilize those kiosks that will then library materials to them according to the availability of the machine. That could be 24 hours in the case of Sun Valley, because it's outside at a public park, or throughout business hours in the community center that is located in Cold Springs. Part of that also would be delivering training, going to senior centers, teaching how to use your devices, things like that. Basically, services outreach is us taking any level of service you might obtain in any of our Washoe County Library branches and taking it to you or out in the community. The other side of that is what people probably traditionally think of for outreach, which is promotion and awareness. So tabling at events, that could have a hands-on element that looks like service, but really going out and raising awareness for our services and what we're providing to the community. That often comes in the form of a parade, or parades are a big one. We love parades, and I think everyone enjoys seeing us, but I think you get the picture there. Additionally, I have the joy of managing the Washoe County Library's new bookmobile. Many of you were able to see that at Spanish Springs. We had it out for y'all the tour. We've had it at South Valleys. That finally came to us through a long process of obtaining grants. The Outreach team really helped us get to that point of being able to purchase that vehicle. The outreach team got together, really established guidelines and best practices, did research, made recommendations, so that when the time came and Jeff said, go get it, we were able to go get it. So without that team's help and support, we would not be where we are with our newest service and one of our most popular services. So starting in February of this year, as you all know, we soft launched, took this out on the road and hit every community meeting or event we could find that we could possibly get to. That meant late hours, early hours, we were on weekends, people flexed their schedules. It was a tremendous amount of dedication on part of the staff and the team as a system. And that was not just North Valleys, that was the whole Washoe County Library system. In that time, we have, let me see if I have that number. We have checked out and renewed 993 items off the bookmobile. That's a tremendous number, and honestly, when I reached out to our services, technical services team for that data, I was like, oh, maybe we'll have like 500 items, that would be really great. And honestly, I know that our number is higher because it's a learning curve, and we've been checking things out according to our branch profiles instead of the bookmobile. So I know it's much higher than that. So to say almost 1,000 items since February is pretty incredible, and I think it speaks to the desire of the community. This initiative for outreach came directly out of response to hearing from our community at our community forums a few years ago when we developed our new strategic plan. And so they said they wanted their bookmobiles back. Jeff made that happen, and the team is out there on the road now, and the community is responding. So we're super excited about that. Right now, as of June, we've completed our first full month of scheduled book runs. So in addition to special appearances like parades and Refugee Day festivities, things like that, the North Valley staff and the Spanish Spring staff are working hard to provide weekly runs to different geographic areas in the community spread throughout Washoe County. First week of the month, you can find us up in North Valleys, including Cold Springs and Red Rock. Which, as we all know, has a lot of infrastructure challenges and traffic challenges. That's been really well received. Second week of the month, the Spanish Springs team has dedicated some staff to go with us out to Hungry Valley and to Pyramid Lake and Wadsworth Nixon. It's a full day, but it's a beautiful and a lovely day, and that's been really well received. The tribal community was very excited about that. Additionally, the third week of the month, you can find us in the inner city corridors with a variety of our community partners, including our center, the State of Nevada Veterans Home, Rita Sparks Indian Colony, just to name a few. And then the final week of the month, which we just completed, is around through various parks and other community organizations. Today we were just out at Evelyn Mount Community Center and Teglia's Paradise Park. So that's just a quick snapshot of where we're at as a team and as a system in providing outreach to our community. And I would entertain any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Jonathan, thank you. Any questions or comments from the board?
Madam Chair.
Thank you, go ahead.
Counselor, for the record, Jonathan, thank you, really exciting. Do you get more requests than you possibly could fulfill? I imagine there are events going on every single day in Washoe County. You could be everywhere. So first of all, how does one even request a bookmobile? I know I did for the Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
But I think I just called, or Jeff told me to call somebody. Is that the way it works? Organizations just contact you and say, can a bookmobile arrive at our event or parade or outing?
We love to expand tradition, but we also embrace tradition. So folks like yourself sending an email or picking up the phone, because I look to Trustee Ruff, who worked in the school district. We have those partnerships built, those relationships are long-standing. And so we still have the folks who will reach out to us directly because they remember us from a partnership years ago. If that happens, we welcome that information, however it comes to us. If they're interested, we'll let them know that they can, in the future, go to our website and just fill out, I'm guessing from memory, but about 7 questions maybe. Basically contact information and when do you want us and how do you want us to present. If we find that is more off-putting because they've already done the work once to come to us via email or telephone, the library staff have been trained through the service team to go ahead and just enter that data for them in the website. It still all gets filtered to the same communication channel, so we're not dealing with multiple email chains from a variety of branches, which enables things to get lost. But either way, all of that information gets funneled into the same place. It gets put onto a master calendar. Once a month, we drop our agenda. So for instance, just yesterday was our monthly meeting. And so we put an entire digest of those outstanding service requests. Some of those fall on the same day of the week. Yesterday, we reviewed 3 outstanding outreach requests, all very different in the nature of their request. Some wanted the bookmobile, some didn't. One was in Sun Valley. I've forgotten where the other 2 are already. One is downtown, and then a third in another location, I think up in the Northwest. And it's impossible to be everywhere at once. We have 1 bookmobile. If they wanted it at all 3, we're not likely to get there at all 3. Much like other processes in the library system, we look at timestamps. The most advanced notice that we can get is the most objective way to go about that. And then we weigh that against available resources. Is the bookmobile available? Do we have staffing that are qualified or available to attend this? Are we able to do that and still operate our regular branch business without too much of a major impact? So there's a variety of criteria that we would look at. And sometimes we've had to say no. So the 44 that we participated in the last year, I did not do the ratio to see what we turned away, but I can tell you that there were ones when I went through that list that we did have to decline for various reasons. There are times where we may decline also as a financial hardship. They have entry fees that we're not able to sustain to get a vendor for that sort of thing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from the board?
Trustee Moser, thank you so much for all the work that you do. It's incredible, and as we saw in public comment, the library is heavily used, and so seeing these bookmobiles be used is, you know, the outreach is just amazing. One thing I wanted to know about was for the service outreach, would that also pertain to like maybe partnering with a hair salon to do cuts at the library? Is that something that's possible to, if a business were to say, wanting to do free haircuts for like back to school or something like that?
I would hesitate to give you a hard answer on that. I would say what we always would do is we would love to explore that more. I will divulge a little bit of personal information. I actually have, I'm a licensee for hair design in the state of Nevada, so I know exactly what you're referring to. And I also have a personal knowledge of some of the rules that might come into that from statute and regulation for safety and sanitation.
Yeah.
So there are some things that if we were to do an event like that, we would have to pull others into that discussion. And that's what the library, that's what our service teams are really meant to do, is to take a look at those criteria. If that came through the outreach request form, we would look at that as a team, and someone like myself might chime in and say, I have a little bit of expertise on this, I'll take the lead on it, and then pick that up and get more information about how it may or may not be able to work. So that's a kind of a vague answer for you, but absolutely. And I know that we've had similar types of events. I will point to John Crockett. I believe a few years ago you had a prom dress.
Say yes to the prom dress.
Yes, and I'm sorry I couldn't remember the name of it, but it speaks to me in the same way in that it helps bridge a lack of access or experience for an equitable experience for people in the community who maybe can't afford to get those materials to go and have a quality time and be part of the conversation in the community. And I see that much the same way with something like what you're describing.
Okay, great, thank you. I just wanted to, so if someone were interested, is outreach form on the website?
We have an outreach form. It is on our website. When you go to the Washoe County Library.us, there is a tab for services. And as outreach is a service, you will find a specific tab for outreach, and that is where that form lives. We also have the ability for an event that you can submit a form to collaborate or suggest event collaboration. That is a separate form, but it operates much the same. I don't sit on that team, so I don't want to represent the procedures. My understanding is it's very similar.
Thank you, and sorry, just to follow up. I really love the idea of the say yes to the prom dress, and I'm getting married soon, and I won't be needing my wedding dress after, and so I would just like to offer, after August, if you wanted to do a say yes to the wedding dress, I would be happy to donate my wedding dress.
I'm going to look again to my colleagues who have more experience in that, but I'm sure someone is interested. Chair Jackson.
Madam Chair.
Go ahead, yes.
Thank you, Jonathan, for your presentation. It was wonderful.
You're welcome.
I love the bookmobile. I have many memories of it as a kid in Washoe County, visiting the bookmobile. It was an exciting day. And I am just really blown away by the amount of outreach, and it's amazing. It's a wonderful resource for our community. Thank you. And to your staff and everyone who works on that. Thank you very much.
I think there's a comment online.
Actually, it was Trustee Rogers.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to echo a lot of the comments. Again, Jonathan, thank you so much. Kudos to you and your staff for not only the operation and the programs and services you provide at North Valleys, but certainly taking on the lead of Bookmobile. I know those are typically items or initiatives that are not just handed out, and I know you are very capable, and those are typically not taken with any compensation, but they are typically given to people who are skilled to do those things, and I think you absolutely are. So kudos to both of those, and it was great seeing you at the county complex last week, and I look forward to staying in touch via the Bookmobile and through North Valleys in the future. But thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Rogers. I appreciate that. And I do appreciate the kind words to me. It is a lot of work, but honestly, truly, this has been a team effort. That I did not do this alone, and it will not be sustained without all of my colleagues' efforts on this, and the community for coming out and supporting it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jonathan. Any other comments from the board? Fantastic. Thanks again. Looks like, John, we had you up anyway. This is the Incline Village branch manager, John. He's going to give the report on this beautiful library here today.
Hello everyone, John Crockett, branch manager here at Incline Village. Welcome. And I'm just going to get a little bit closer to the online mic here. But hope to show you a little bit about Incline Village, what's going on here at the library, and in some of our great programs and services. And you can see here in the photo, the lower is our children's story time in the children's area. And this was a remodel that we conducted about 2 years ago. And the branch team came up with the design and concept for this area. And that was to bring the outside in, and Amanda led this project and forged a great partnership with Herman Fillmore of the Washoe tribe to install a Gallus dongle, which is a traditional Washoe winter shelter in the children's area. And then through the generosity of the Wyman family, we were able to have our local artist, Sarah Smith, paint an interpretive mural that includes native flora and fauna, as well as imagery from Washoe stories and legend, including a welcome message in the Washoe language. And a great next step for this collaboration is the installation of interpretive panels that will tell a little bit about Washoe history, and also have a QR code to a website that will have spoken Washoe language of some of the flora and fauna in the mural. So this is a great next step that is an homage to the people who have been stewards of the land here in Tahoe for thousands of years. And a little bit about Incline Village, and as we go through the slides here, this is just a sample of the great work that is being done throughout the system. Here in Incline Village, we're having a growing population following the pandemic, and over the last 10 years, so if you look at the Tahoe Basin, our area is actually the fastest growing area of Lake Tahoe. And we've noticed the demographics are skewing a little bit older. We have a significant population aged 65 and older. And school enrollment is declining slightly for the public schools, increasing for the private schools. And great accomplishment thanks to the schools and the help of the Incline Education Fund, one of our local nonprofits,
is that Incline is the first K-12 STEM system in Nevada, from the grade school, middle school, and high school. So just an example of how this community comes together to support everyone in town and make sure our kids are getting a great education. And on the heels of that, another thing we noticed here, I'm sure this is similar throughout the county, is students reading behind their grade level. So we're working with Incline Education Fund and some of our local schools to ensure the kids are getting the support and enrichment they need to get back up to where they should be. And some common issues in town is housing for local residents and our workforce, transportation, getting around, getting to work, and also impacts of climate and fire. And of course, you may have seen this on the news, newsflash from Incline Village Library. We had a visitor at our front door, not a service animal, so not allowed in the library. So to give you an idea of some service trends, and I think this is very similar to other branches in the system, is that we have fully rebounded from the pandemic. So, and our numbers are going beyond. So here at Incline Village, our gate count has surpassed pre-2020 levels. Checkouts have met that level and flattened out a little bit. And an interesting note here in Incline is that our checkouts are significantly lower than some of the other branches. So we know people are using the library, but they're using it in a different way. And that way is meeting room use, it's Wi-Fi use. People are here in the branch, but they may not be checking out. And we're taking a closer look at what the digital footprint of our Incline users may be. And some of the most checked out items that we do circulate are adult fiction, children's picture books, and DVDs. We still check out a lot of DVDs in Incline. The power and internet goes out occasionally. And then another uptick in services, increased requests for a book a librarian service. So this is that one-on-one service with our patrons, mainly with seniors and mainly technology-related questions. And also our story times, that really drives our program. We get very consistent attendance at our story times twice a week in addition to the pajama story time. And we do that right in the children's area. So first thing you see when you come in. And while the population changes in Incline Village, everyone's still using the library. One of the things we really key in on is community collaborations, because we find we have a greater impact when we partner with some other groups and schools in the community. So a few highlights from that is the upper left corner is our Incline to Read community book group. So this was an idea from the Lake Tahoe School, and it included the other public schools in town and the library to come together as a community and read the one and only Ivan. And it's a series of books by Catherine Applegate, that's her in the lower left, who wrote a personalized, or sent a personalized message to all the readers in the book group. And we've had events here in the library, at the Lake Tahoe School, and at the elementary school. So that really hits all the points. And we also have the Tahoe Poetry Night, collaboration with our colleagues at UNR Lake Tahoe, hosted at the Prim Library, where community members can read and share some of their poetry. Folks come up from Reno as well. That's our second annual. And the Incline High School Artist Reception. So this is a chance for the Incline High School AP art class to speak and share what inspired them in creating their art. And it's always fantastic to have that in the library. It's very passionate work by those Incline High students. And Mr. Dominguez is our teacher, and he shares some great stories about how some of these students have worked through challenges in their life to create and share this art. So great ones all around on that. We also had the Incline Elementary School Choir performing in the children's area. And then just recently on June 1st, we had our second annual summer reading kickoff block party. So we wanted to have a collaborative community event here at the library. We do have some great big town events, some down at the beach. We wanted to have one here in the neighborhood with the goal of starting off the summer with a big bang and signing up
lots of kids and students for the summer reading program. So this was our second year doing that. We had 20 nonprofit info booths, Washoe County Sheriff's Office, North Lake Tahoe Fire, the Search and Rescue Hasty Team, along with some of our local schools and other nonprofits, hundreds of people in attendance, our local Rotary groups, 2 of them here in Incline Village grilled over 300 hot dogs and veggie burgers for everyone who attended. And we also partnered with Ifgid Waste Not. It's our town community cleanup day. They had the biggest response they had for this type of event, picked up over 300 pounds of litter around town, and everybody had a great time here at the library, and really shows that this is the community hub for Incline Village. Bookmobile debut as well. And we really thank our partners Rayleigh's and the Rotary of Tahoe Incline and Rotary of Incline Village. They really came through, donated all the food that drew a lot of folks to this event, as well as music from a few of our locals, DJ Castillo and DJ Twist, local high school students who had some great music. Graffiti art demo with Mr. Dominguez, who is a mural artist. The kids love that one. We launched some bottle rockets to promote our Camp Steam coming up next month, some face painting, and a used book sale. And thanks to Incline Village, Crystal Bay Community Business Association as well for partnering and promoting the event, and North Lake Tahoe Fire. And we really do have programs for everyone. So just a sample of the many offerings we have here. Natalie doing Dungeons and Dragons as part of our Teen Wednesday. Russell working with kids and students at our Camp Steam. We offer really try to focus some of the learning and engagement programs over the school breaks. So we'll have, we had Stitch a Face, a cross stitch today, and we'll have another sewing camp coming up later in the summer. As well as our partners with Bruga Theater and Pioneer Center, and also Write Your Life Memoir hosted by Phyllis Rogers. This is one of a hybrid program, so we get folks attending from all over the county and in here where seniors can write their memoir. So we mentioned that a lot of folks use the library, may not be checking out, but we try to offer a lot of engagement and enrichment in the library. So, you know, we serve locals and visitors alike, and we want to have something interesting and engaging for everyone who's stopping by the library. If you're coming to Incline, we want to make sure you can make a stop at the library. So we have our community puzzle, questions and post-it notes for the teams, what's your favorite book, hydroponic garden, which was a grant from our local AAUW chapter, and we announce through our email newsletter when it's harvest time, and you can come in and get some herbs and vegetables right there in the garden. It's a nice beacon of light as you come in the front door. And our banned books display from this past November that featured titles that have been banned and challenged across the country, and that generated a response. And then another great collaboration right next door is the Incline Village Justice Court and Community Center. It's actually the former library building. And the building had sat vacant for several years, and definitely following the pandemic. Recently we had new neighbors, the Justice Court, move in. But there's also about a third of that building still available for public use. So the library did what we did. We swooped in and were able to manage the facility thanks to our internet librarian providing the online meeting room reservations, John Andrews setting that up. So now folks can use and reserve the space for the chess club, mahjong, bridge group, mostly senior focused groups that are using that. And then the library also offered to do programs. So we don't have a senior center up here in Incline Village, don't have the programs that they do down the hill. Incline residents are always conscious of that. And the library stepped in to offer the programs. Human Services is funding the supplies and instructors, and the library with our expertise are designing, developing, and hosting the programs. And this is our staff member, very talented Jackie Peacock Burton, Burton offering a watercolor class that was well received and attended. So we had Timeout Tuesday and lifelong learning going on. Lifelong learning will resume in the fall. And there are different libraries across the system. We realize we have different neighborhoods, different patrons use the library in a different way. But one thing that is consistent is the staff and the dedication, passion, adaptability, how much they care about their communities blows me away. And they drive sometimes 2 hours or more through the snow to get up here in the wintertime. Sometimes it's the road's closed, too dangerous, we have them stay home. But they show up every day, and they really forge connections with our patrons. I think you heard some of that with the kind